So for those who don't know, I'm ordained in the Soto Zen tradition. I have Dharma transmission. I teach from Buddhism. Don't live in the monastery or the temple anymore. And in general, in Buddhism, when we talk about sexuality, when we talk about sexuality, it's usually with the precepts. Right? Precepts are in the Buddhist time, they actually just, the Buddha started with, if people know the story, the Buddha, became enlightened. Well, he did all these ascetic practices, and he practiced with 5 other people. And then he decided, I don't know about this, giving up everything. Supposedly, literally only 1 grain of rice a day. And that's why in some of the old sculptures of the Buddha, they seem really scrawny. So then it was part of the scene, the spiritual scene in India at the time, to really give up a lot, because the body was considered really the problem to things when you're attached to the needs of the body, and that's why they practice asceticism a lot. So then he went off, and there's a little bit of asceticism in what he did, which was to supposedly sit still until he became enlightened. By the way, that sitting still or holding a pose was also a big practice, spiritual practice of the time. So anyway, the story goes, of course, he saw the morning light. Some tradition is 7 days in the Soto Zen tradition. That's why we sit 7 days in December for when we consider the enlightenment. Some tradition is 49 days. That's why people go to retreat for 49 days. Anyways, so after that, he was encouraged to teach. So then he went back to the 5 ascetics he practiced with. And this is why supposedly when you have 5 people and a teacher, it's a Sangha. So all you need is 5 people and a teacher, and it's a Sangha. So we're definitely a Sangha for sure. So anyway, so then they just went off to follow him, because there was a sense that he understood something about life. And then the precepts came along, as in any group of people living together, things started to get complicated and messy. And so then that's how the precepts come, like guidance for how to live harmoniously together. That's, by the way, the main intention of a Sangha is harmony. So the 5 main ones of all the Buddhist sects are not killing, not stealing, not to misuse sexuality, not to slander, and not to intoxicate. So I think I might have, let's see, no kill, no peel, not to intoxicate, no kill, steal, peel, spiel, deal. Yes. Okay. All right. So those are my quick way of remembering. So again, the wording is often classically not to engage in any sexual. Right. So this is very much being celibate is in many traditions of religious tradition, because while we all have habits that can cause harm, sexuality is considered one of those that is very strong. And I think we all can have a sense of that. So this is why in a lot of monasticism, they don't engage in sex, and celibacy is part of it. Of course, which doesn't mean that feelings of sexual desire doesn't come up. You really, and probably in a lot of communities, as in a lot of different kind of religious community, if you don't air it, it actually can make it worse, right? So, but in general, that's the idea, because it's so strong. And so with time, it has been very much about not misusing sexuality. And so, of course, that's also, however, right, contingent upon who define misuse and not misuse. For instance, classically, the wording has been, not to engage in relationship unless it's long-term, or let's see, I have taken that on here. The third mindfulness training is about sexual responsibility. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. I'm determined not to engage in sexual relation without love and a long-term commitment. To preserve the happiness of myself and others, I am determined to respect my commitment and the commitments of others. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. So on one level, to directly name, not trying to create sexual misconduct, so like sexual abuse and stuff, that's great because you don't see that in a lot of ways. But this whole sense about like long term, so obviously it's very heteronormative. So there can be a lot of problems with it, without a doubt. So another way to think about it is to think about what is how do we use our the sexual desire as an energy, right? I know that my first 1 month at Spirit Rock many years ago, the teachers, there were 6 teachers. So every night, of course, the teacher gave a talk. So on the 7th night, though, then you get to put a question in the basket, right? And then they just pull out one and answer it. And so someone had written like, so remember, it's a 1 month silent retreat for those who don't know Spirit Rock. It's an insight tradition. And you only get 15 minutes to talk to a teacher every other day. And you're silent the whole time. But the person wrote, why is it that I think about sex all the time? Why, right? And so the teacher answered by saying, well, it is a life energy, right? It's a very strong sense of our presence and who we are, and of an energetic level of life affirming. And so if we can think of it as, how is it that I'm going to observe this strong energy, just like the strong energy of anger or the strong energy of desire for food? By the way, you think about food a lot in retreat. Who here has not thought about food a lot, right? In the Soto Zen tradition, we do like 90 days retreat, and in the middle we have a skit night to kind of have before we go back into a lot of sitting in silence. And there's so many skits about food. It's hilarious, right? And so the sensual desire is actually part of it all. Sensual desire, so not just about sex, but the need to feel caress and caring. I will say I came out, I love silence and I love to sit still and for a long time. And I remember coming out that 1 month, and I was saying to people, I was like, oh, I could do this forever, but every week I want a massage. And it wasn't so much about the soreness. I just really wanted to feel touch. Right? And so there's this real sense. So again, like in the meditation, I was asked, when we hold still with that strong energy of sexual desire, what is it that comes up with that? Not besides that, or not despite that. And here, to me, it's not about one is better than the other. It's just when just as in all our practice, we pause, we investigate, and we see what else is here, and in which way that we react to this causes more harm for ourselves or for others, or in what ways can we respond in the way that brings intention, bring qualities that we actually want to bring with it. So any strong emotions, we can react to it and it could cause a lot of harm, like anger, even joy. You can take up a lot of space and not notice that it's impacting other people. in meditation, when you have too much joy, it keeps you from steadying your mindfulness, right? And also can tighten up because you cling on to it. So it isn't so much on a certain level what quality. It's just a matter of understanding that sexual energy is a very strong one. And so it's a place to really pay attention, just like the desire to kill, really, which is to annihilate, right? Now, you might think, oh, well, I don't really kill. But if you pay attention to killing, how is it that you kill things by cutting it off in so many ways, right? We can kill someone's energy. We could kill their enthusiasm. We could kill our enthusiasm for all the judgment that we bring up, right? Lying, speech, right? Not telling the truth can cause a lot of harm. Stealing, obviously, can cause a lot of harm. Intoxicant or not having a clear heart and mind can certainly cause a lot of harm and suffering. So sexuality is also the area in which we want to pay attention to and bring awareness to. So let's see, what else do I want to say? All right, that's Tikyahan. I think it's pretty much that. Oh, I want to share. I would say that in when I teach a program on the 8-month program on the precepts in the Soto Zen tradition. We have 16 of them, so we take 8 months for it, and or in the program with me. And one way that we use it is this book by Sherry Huber called Good Life. Notice not The Good Life, it's A Good Life. And she has put together, it's a Zen tradition also, she puts together this whole grid about the precepts. So let me scroll down. The 10 great precepts, that's what we have. We have 6, the 3 refuges is one set of 3, and then what's called the 3 pure precepts. So those are the 6. And then we go into the 10, the grave ones. So notice, okay, she has it broken up as the class, a classic, kind of more classic framing. Then she goes, what are the key, the prohibition, the aspiration, and the inspiration? So this is not killing or not harming. So we go down to not to commit or participate in unchaste conduct. So that's very classic. Okay? So the key she offers is love. The key to this. I will say I have seen other people say that the key to this precept is trust. So the prohibition, meaning the thing, so in the classic way, right? Like harming, not killing would be the prohibition. Not lusting, very classic framing. And then the aspiration is to give and accept affection and friendship without clinging. You could say non-attached love. And then the inspiration is there's no scarcity of love. So it isn't so much from, can we act sexually? By the way, that doesn't mean that it has to be always this way. Right? But is there an inspiration that in any way that we participate sexually, that it doesn't come from a sense of scarcity? Right? It's freely given, is another way to put it. Freely, not without wanting something back. By that I mean like a manipulator. Right? It doesn't mean you can't, if you're giving affection, you don't want affection back. But is there some kind of manipulation? So, all right, let's see what else I want to say. I want to say that it started out that way, but Reverend Daigon, who I introduced to the EBMC community, and I know he teaches at Alphabet also. He and I used to do a one-day workshop at EBMC called Presence, Precepts, and Power. So this is in part from that.